I think really this place that we're trying to save, up Seymour Arm and Anstey Arm, being in the interior wet belt, I don't think anywhere else in the North American continent is there such a place.
Deep in the heart of British Columbia's southern interior lies the Shuswap Lake region. Here, two magnificent lowland rainforests remain wild. The Hunniqua Lake Wilderness is cradled amid the nestling arms of the Shuswap Lakes, the only pristine lowland lake left in southern British Columbia. To the north lies the Upper Seymour River Valley. Because of its very wet climate and coastal-like ecology, this refuge of interior rainforest is globally unique. The Shuswap region is located east of Kamloops and north of the Okanagan. With almost 500 kilometers of shoreline, Shuswap Lake has become a tourist destination for camping, cycling, fishing, and houseboating. Protected by the Coast Range Mountains, most of the southeastern interior of BC is sheltered from the Pacific storms and heavy rainfall that characterize the coastal climate. But here, a very moist climate has nurtured a forest ecosystem of giant trees and lush undergrowth. With an abundant water supply, a diversity of rainforest plants and animals have found a biological niche, a home place they have occupied for many thousands of years. This 1996 satellite photo shows how logging has extended into nearly every valley in the region. Only the northern half of Anstey Arm, Hunniqua Lake, and Wright Lake remain relatively untouched. Currently, this area is deferred from logging through the Provincial Protected Areas Strategy. A land use planning process involving local citizen groups and government agency staff is now underway that will help determine the future of this threatened wilderness area. Today, nature lovers can enjoy extensive hiking amid giant old-growth cedar, fir, hemlock, and pine trees. These magnificent old specimens remind us of the giant trees of the West Coast. At the same elevation as the nearby community of Salmon Arm, the Anstey Arm Hunniqua Lake Wilderness area can be reached without climbing or strenuous hiking. Less than 1% of the Salmon Arm Forest District is protected in parks and ecological reserves, yet tourism is an important and thriving part of the local economy. In addition to being an ideal tourist attraction, the Anstey Arm Hunniqua Lake area is a sanctuary for an array of wildlife and plants, a haven for the botanist or nature lover.
I am the fourth generation botanist on my mother's side, the third on my father's, and we think on my mother's side they go back about 4 more generations of botanists. Well, in going into Wright Lake, identifying plants, trees, and shrubs, we found it as a very beautiful regrowth from the hand logging that was done before the First World War that is now just too beautiful to be destroyed. We should keep it for the future generations to enjoy and to see what we have seen.
In the Wright Lake area, there are as many as 14 species of trees, 16 varieties of fern, and 26 different shrubs, including nearly every edible local berry. With over 50 species of flowering plants, the forest floor is a garden of lilies, violets, and bunchberries. The lucky hiker might catch a glimpse of local wildlife or have a great photo opportunity. Hanakwa Lake is where the canoeist will find a tranquil place to paddle. These warm waters of the Shuswap invite us to explore the shoreline and enjoy a wilderness experience. This biological diversity cannot be taken for granted. A unique ecosystem such as this is, by its very nature, a precious place, a place worth studying and understanding.
I'm a plant ecologist working for the Ministry of Forest in the Kamloops Forest region, and basically my tasks are to lead research projects in the field of forest ecology. My main theme is disturbance ecology, so I'm looking at fire ecology and pest disturbances and wind throw and that sort of thing. And also I'm interested to compare this with harvesting in order to understand what's the nature of our impacts on nature. The Upper Seymour Valley is unique in many ways, primarily due to its climate and how it's affecting the vegetation and the ecological processes in that area. It belongs to what we call the interior rainforest ecosystem, and this type of ecosystem is unique to the interior of British Columbia. You don't really find it anywhere else in the world, so that makes it quite special from that point of view.
Once again, this satellite photo shows how logging and roads extend nearly to the end of the Seymour River Valley. Here, there is one of the last remnants of what ecologists call an antique interior rainforest. The only place in the world that this particular forest type is found is in British Columbia.
You're looking at the Seymour giant, the largest tree we've been able to find here in the Upper Seymour River Valley. It's a red cedar, somewhere between 100 and 150 feet tall, and 12 feet in diameter, 38 feet in circumference.
I am proud and I am noble, I am strong and I am free. I am all I ever was and all that I will ever be. I have taken only sun and rain, and as I grow I breathe, bringing life to life in balance and in perfect harmony. I am sacred, I am holy, I am tree.
Part of the difficulty in aging the trees in the Upper Seymour is the fact that many of them are rotten. So we were able to age some of the trees to be 700 years and older in that area. But what may happen in these types of forests is that you may have disturbances that predate the age of the oldest trees. In some of the what appear to be very old forests at the valley bottom, verify that indeed there has not been any fires for several thousand years. Because some of the species of lichens, as suggested by lichenologist Trevor Goward, the hypothesis in this case is that you could see that the lichen species a bit like strata in the rock, and you keep, as time goes by, as you have long periods of time, you have species sort of new species arriving on and on. So this seems to be reflected in many of these interior rainforests in our region.
But the signs of industrial development are fast encroaching. Logging roads have been blasted into the area, and more machines are never far behind. It seems a dire fate for a forest ecosystem that has taken thousands of years to evolve, an area that will take only a few years to destroy. In the heat of the logging slash, streams and ponds are exposed, the cool shade of a rainforest reduced to the rubble of a modern clear-cut. In the replanted cut blocks, amid the remains of the ancient forest, it seems like it may take an eternity for these tiny seedlings to reach maturity. Charred stumps of old growth stand as mute testimonies to the once magnificent canopies that sheltered the land. From the sky, the valley bottoms appear stripped, once the most biologically rich, now scarred with cut blocks and roads. Logging has its place, but not here, in this rare antique rainforest. Like the rest of British Columbia, Shuswap's forests have been overcut, and the Ministry of Forests is allowing the overcutting to continue. This map shows existing logging and the plans for the next few years. The gray areas are primarily rock and ice. The light green areas are young forests. The Shuswap Environmental Action Society has completed this spatial analysis that shows what the region will look like in the year 2012 if overcutting continues. The red blocks represent how much forest will be clear-cut.
Well, the Upper Seymour, because of its ecological integrity, I think presents many values. First of all, there's some species that require this type of undisturbed, large tract of land, like grizzly bears, for example, that do occur in that area. Also, there's still a lot of things we do have to learn from these types of forests. We really have started to study their ecology quite recently. In fact, there's certain groups of very tiny lichens which we're starting to study, which are called the caliciales, which we keep on finding new species. So if we can afford it, it would certainly be a good legacy to leave to our future generations.
Decisions will be made soon that will determine the future for the Shuswap wilderness areas. British Columbians can help keep the Anstey, Hannequah, and Seymour rainforests wild by voicing their support.
The value of the area is excellent education for future generations, because how else can they know what we have seen?
Cut trees, a lot of stumps in the breeze. Don't fall down. The last stand.